Alright guys, I'm going to make this a relatively quick video because I really just wanted to respond to what Dalyxman said on his most recent video. Alex, I completely understand everything that you went through, talking about basically how you just don't get into the product as much now because they put too much focus on Cena. They're never going to, according to you, I'm going to kind of say some of the stuff that you said and respond to it. According to you, basically, they're putting too much emphasis on John Cena, and he is always the main event over CM Punk, despite the fact that Punk has the WWE title. So it basically is making John Cena look like he's more important than the WWE title. You have a problem with that? I perfectly understand. I'm right there with you. Here's my thing, though. They've been doing this for as long as I can remember. I have been a wrestling fan since 1996. I have been watching the WWE since 1998. And ever since I can remember, they've always had a top guy. And regardless of whether or not he is holding the title, he's always going to be either in a match for a title or the last match on the card if he's not in a match for the title. To kind of really top that off, I want to add on that the WWE is a very consistently inconsistent product. Every year we have two big peaks, two big blow-offs if you want to go there. WrestleMania and SummerSlam. And consistently, the 4 months leading up to WrestleMania are always great stuff. And the two, maybe if we get lucky, 3 months leading up to SummerSlam are always great. Generally, November and December are hotter than the rest of the year. But other than that, if we get anything great from the WWE, aside from what I basically just listed, I personally consider us to be lucky for it because they don't try as hard unless we are in those time periods. I feel like it's the WWE's basically it's their way of showing you that they basically aren't great all the time, so that when they do something great, you appreciate it more. You have to see the lowest of lows in order to appreciate the highest of highs. It's kind of like what Triple H said in an interview. They have to tone back a lot of stuff, and this is talking about basically leaving the Attitude Era, going into PG. You have to tone back a lot of the stuff so that when something big that you would have seen in the Attitude Era happens, people are taken aback by it because otherwise they become desensitized to it. If the WWE puts on their best possible programming 12 months a year for years and years and years, people are going to get sick of it and they're going to want something different, even if said different thing isn't good. You can look at ROH. People get sick and tired of Davey Richards no-selling, so then Kevin Steen shows up and does something as simple as sell a leg injury through an entire match, and everyone notices it, everyone praises him for it, and everyone talks about how great he is. It's not about putting on something consistently, one thing or another, whether it's great or bad or whatever. Just consistency isn't necessarily key. It's knowing when to peak and when you can get away with not being as great so that your peaks are better and more important and appreciated more. As far as John Cena goes, you are absolutely right. He isn't going anywhere. I do kind of find it strange that you said something as far as we're not going to get rid of him in the main event unless he gets injured. Knowing all the crap that has happened as far as Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho goes, if anything, I would think that their absences from the product would make people appreciate John Cena more, if for no other reason, because when he is around, he gets people interested in the product, and he hasn't been injured since, like 2007, something like that. So it's one of those things where the guy constantly draws money, constantly creates interest, and he's rarely, if ever, hurt anymore. So I thought it was kind of strange that you said that about how the only way we're going to get rid of him in the main event is if he gets hurt. It wasn't it you a couple weeks, maybe it was months, I don't know. It felt like a couple weeks ago during Paul Heyman's rant that said that these superstars need to step up and take the torch, so to speak, for themselves rather than the WWE needing to book the torch onto them. Whatever happened to these talents have no excuse to knock it over. What happened to all of the stuff that you've been saying, and now all of a sudden it's, oh, the WWE only cares about John Cena, so they're only going to push John Cena. I don't understand that. I'm not necessarily saying that the product that they've been putting on as of late has been stellar. You listen to Twitwow, you know, or at least I think you listen to Twitwow. You had for a while. I don't know for sure if you still do, but you know if you have been listening to Twitwow that John and I have been basically giving the product its just desserts. We've been talking about everything that they've been doing wrong just as much as we've been talking about everything that they're doing right. But the difference is, rather than complaining and saying, "Oh God, this sucks. I don't know if I can tolerate this much more," we look to the future and see what they can do, how they can turn these negatives into something that would be enjoyable. I honestly feel like that's one of the biggest problems with wrestling fans these days is a major lack of patience. It's one of those things where, people are begging for 8 and 9 month title reigns, and people want CM Punk to hold the title from, and I guess they're going to get their wish, but they wanted him to hold it from November until July, and it looks like they're going to get their wish. But the point is, then at the same time, as soon as Raw puts on a less than stellar product, they're so quick to jump the gun and say, "Man, this sucks. I don't know if I can tolerate this much longer. I don't even know if I can keep watching this crap. I'm not going to watch it until the 1,000th episode." And by the way, I saw that quite a few times in your comments section. I thought that was kind of hilarious. But the point here is, be patient, because everybody knows that, yeah, WWE is going to have a few, okay, not that great shows that are going to make people angry, that are going to make people feel like they basically got ripped off, when in reality it is free television. Obviously, they have a few pay-per-views that make people feel that way too, but that's an entirely different subject. My point being, the WWE is going to put on bad shows, but at the same time, you also know that they're going to put on some amazing shows. Everybody was angry last year around this time, and then all of a sudden, CM Punk cut this epic promo. I think it was June 17th, and the wrestling world got flipped on its head, and everyone fell in love with it again. So I think that my main point here is, if you have patience, your patience will be rewarded, especially with the WWE, with all their ups and downs and highs and lows, and their consistent inconsistency, like I said earlier. And I think that you are kind of looking for something to complain about. I feel like you are almost seeking out the negatives, because we had a lot of positives on tonight's Raw. We had Dolph Ziggler finally breaking away from Jack Swagger. We had a pretty solid a tag team match with basically the two main events last night with Bryan Punk, Kane, and Sheamus. And we got rid of John Laurinaitis, which I think is awesome, because quite frankly, I couldn't freaking stand the sight or sound or anything of him anymore. And we found out that Mick Foley's GM for a week. So SmackDown, that gives us something else to look forward to on SmackDown. It's so strange, because I feel like one of our first conversations that we ever had on Skype, you told me that you felt like you look at the glass half full. And we were having a conversation about another YouTuber. I will not drop any names here. And you said that the biggest difference between you and said YouTuber was that you look at the glass half full, they look at it half empty. Kind of starting to feel like you're getting that half empty mentality here, bro. As far as this Raw went, I think you might have underrated it a bit. I enjoyed it. Not to say that it was the best programming that WWE's ever put on, kind of like I said earlier, but when it all comes down to it, we aren't necessarily in a hot season yet. We are on the brink of a hot season. We are extremely close to entering a hot season. I guarantee you that the WWE isn't going to wait until the 1,000th episode to start a very interesting storyline, because the 1,000th episode can't be completely dedicated to an awesome storyline. It's got to be dedicated to the stars of old, between, you even mentioned them, Austin, Taker, Dusty Rhodes will probably be there. I'm assuming DiBiase, kind of guys like that, who don't really have any kind of relevance in the modern product. The 1,000th episode is going to be an homage, not an actual, entertainment product. It's going to be a look back on the last 1,000 episodes that they've had. So just basically, I wanted to kind of get on here, remind everybody that I am not dead. Remind everybody that the Dean Ambrose FCW Superstar Spotlight, despite the fact that I had to delay it, it is still on the way. No guarantees on when that will be. I'll just go as far as to say that I promise I'll have it on here by the end of June. Other than that, though, Alex, great video. I felt like I had to say something about it, though, because I felt like you were kind of being a little bit hard on the WWE. As far as, hope for the future goes, you guys even said on Wrestling Paradise, FCW is the future, not the present. Well, I disagree. I am thoroughly enjoying some of the younger guys' work. Sandow, Ryback, Cesaro, kind of my big three on SmackDown, have been doing great. I will admit that I am hoping that Ryback gets some real competition, but Sandow is probably the guy that I have the most hope for as far as doing something as soon as possible. because I feel like he could probably enter into a feud with Christian tomorrow and it wouldn't seem out of place. Also, there are a lot of other FCW talents that haven't even debuted on TV yet. Wednesday at, I believe, 4:30 is going to be the first of the new episodes of NXT featuring both Richie Steamboat and I guess they're calling him Bo Dallas now, but it's Bo Rotunda. So the future of the WWE is bright, but you can't act as if the future of the WWE is 5 years away and we're not going to get any kind of returns in the near future. And by the way, I did want to respond to something you guys said in that video about the whole, I think it was Preston that said that none of those guys should be getting near any titles within 4 years. Daniel Bryan won a world title within 2 years of debuting. Just saying. I think that the idea of somebody not being allowed to touch a world title until they've been in the company for 4 years or on TV for 4 years is quite silly, but that's not really a subject for this video, so I did say I was going to keep it short. I just kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there. Great video. I will talk to you and everyone else as far as my subscribers go later. No Twitwow this week due to John being in New Hampshire, but we will resume next week. Be sure to check it out. I am